For this video, I'm going to talk about public DNS zones or DNS public zones, and in one of the other videos, the first one about understanding DNS, is I told you how you could map a record and map the public IP address to be a domain name. I said Microsoft.com. So this is kind of like continuing off of that. So the registrar, your DNS provider, like GoDaddy or whatever one you use, is one way to, that's how to do it for the domain name, like A records, CNAME records. But if you want to host a public zone, you could do it through them, or Azure provides a way to do it too. You're still going to need to buy the domain from the registrar, but you can manage the records here in Azure if you don't want to manage them there. So let's get started. Let's create a DNS zone first. And it's public one because the other one's private. That'll be in a different video. And just assign it here, give it a name. So give it like the same name of the zone you already have. Like I said before, we could just do Microsoft.com, just following along with that. So you gotta pick one. Whatever. Yeah. So anyway, let's create this. I'll come back when it's ready. Okay. So here's your domain name, and so it has an NS record, an SOA, and here you could create a new record set, and the different types. CNAME, link your subdomain to another record. A, alias record, text, it's important, one. So let's say whenever someone wants to go to this this website, they're directed to your demo VM. So let's get the public IP of your VM. And you put it here, an IP address, and this will be what's pointing to that IP address. So what you or the user will type in the search bar, address bar. So we can do like www dot, well, not dot because there's already dot there, www. So if someone types this in, it'll take him to this VM which has IIS on it. So you want them to use this, or whatever it is they're doing. They could go to this web page, and you just say okay, and now create that record. So there's one more thing you got to do besides just making the A record. It's like when when a user first goes to like www.ffefe.com, it's gonna go through the domain provider first, because that's where your domain actually is. So what you need to do is, like if it's GoDaddy.com, you need to forward it from that provider to the Azure record set. And you do that by changing the name server records that are part of your third party. So like GoDaddy might have one that says like NS, it's a type, and it'll be like NS 43.domaincontrol.com, and they're pointing to the GoDaddy web page, and you want them to point to Azure. So we gotta find the DNS servers that are in Azure to point to, instead of the ones that are pointing to the GoDaddy ones, DNS servers. So if you here are the name servers, NS, and you see we have 4 already set up and they're pointing to Azure. So all you gotta do is copy this and go to your GoDaddy or whichever one you're doing and say change the name server records and either overwrite if you have to, or just put in those new ones and say, commit the change, and then they'll be pointing to the Azure name servers instead of your domain provider. So after you do that, let's say you go to www.whatever here. It should redirect you to your VM. But it's not going to work because I didn't register this. But imagine you did. And because it's first going to go to your third, your domain provider, and then you have the NS's that are pointing to Azure, and then it's going to go back to here, and it's going to get that, and then it's going to get this here, and it'll have your demo VM pop up, which should be the IIS, and then if you add even this, then that will pop up too. I'll go to it. So anyway, that will be how you create a public DNS node.